content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. Please make sure to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and hit the bell notification button. And please, feel free to share the video. Thank you. What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. What's cracking with y'all, man? What's going on? So, look here, man. The first thing I want to do is give a shout out to all the members of the Green Gorilla channel. You know how I do it. I want to give a shout out to all of the people who helped to contribute towards making the Green Gorilla channel a special place. So I want to give a shout out to I Am Just Jules, The Book of Ronin, Ab Media 83, NJ Progressive Indie, Damon Harris, Brian McMurray, Ethan Hines, Mr. Lumef, TD Hip Hop Media, Drew Main, Shop Talk Live, Jones Boy, Ryan Jackson, The Face, Mr. Heat the Man, David the Man. Let me take that back. I want to give a shout out to Afro Analyst, NEU, Ronan Martin, Black Quizzard, Camp Low, Isa Abdul Sahir, Sir Anthony, Deshaun Nolly, Aaron Lloyd, MLR, Charles Rogers, Black Dog, Brother Love, Infamous Chillin', Universal 178, Black Swerve 404, Rashid Barnes, Aaron Smith, DH, C Truth the Revelator, Gold Professor, The Nameless Protagonist, Black Pill Net Start, Arthur Unknown, Odd Khalid, Roderick Jackson, Dr. Tiasan Johnson, Brian Williams, Kalan Jakala, Sherrod Martin, Ricky Dawson, Cedric Bowman, True 7360, BK Born Shaheed, James Washington, Hostile Adept, Seven Coast Dojo, W. Pierre 1, Rogish the Billmonger, I Care, Force Windu, Lady Miss Thing Green, BJS Ivmore, and Marvin Battle Jr. Thank you so much for becoming members of the Green Gorilla channel. I appreciate your help and your support. And look, if you would like to also become a member of the Green Gorilla channel and help contribute towards making it a better and a more aesthetically pleasing and a more substantive spot, well, I'm here to tell you, here's how. What's good, everybody? I'm the G with a PhD, and you're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel, the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. Today, I want to introduce you to my new membership program that consists of 5 levels where you can invest in the Green Gorilla channel on a monthly basis and receive level-specific perks. Memberships are special because they improve the quality of the content of the channel and will help me to be able to keep the channel going. Now, to participate in the Green Gorilla channel membership program, all you have to do is hit the join button, which is located right next to the subscribe button on my channel page. Now, for all of my subscribers who decide not to participate in my membership program, nothing will change. The content will keep coming the way it always has. Thanks for watching, and be careful out here, people. Bless. So, once again, what I'd like to do is thank each and every one of y'all who are members of the Green Gorilla channel. I want to thank y'all for, contributing and helping out and making the channel what it is. And, I'm always going to make improvements. So just thank you, man. I appreciate all of your support, all of your help. I appreciate that. And Today, what I want to do is have a conversation about something. And look, I'm about to flip the script. It's about to turn into the club in this motherfucker. Because, I mean, shit. It's just how it is nowadays. So I'm about to flip the script on you. Now, before I do this though, I have to make sure that you understand something really clearly. I mean, you got to understand this. If you don't understand this, then you're in the wrong spot. You're in the wrong place. Just so you know. I'm just letting you know up front, out in the open, just so you're aware. Okay? The content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. So yeah, you know, it's parental discretion advised around here, man. And so, guard your grill. And if you're a youngster, guard your eyes. Because we about to talk about some shit that's happening in our culture today. And we got to talk about it. So, let's get right into it. Shall we? So, you know, one of the things that's happening today is twerking. Yeah, that's right. Twerking. Motherfuckers is dropping it like it's hot, shaking that ass, busting it wide open, bringing it back. That's what's happening out here. You know what I'm saying? And so, I'm a black man. And, you know, I can appreciate, to some degree, the twerking. You know, like, men are visual creatures. Do you understand what I'm saying? We like to see things that are aesthetically pleasing. That's just what we like. Okay? However, you got to keep in mind. You got to keep this in mind. Even though this is pleasing, there are spaces and places where this kind of shit is appropriate. And then there's spaces and places where this kind of shit might not be appropriate. Like when I go to the strip club, I expect to see this. You can even enter into these kind of visual elements on YouTube. You expect to see it there. You expected to see it on porn sites. Or you expect to see it in OnlyFans or something like that. You expect to see this. However, one can argue, you know, there are some spaces where you should not see this. Now, I mean, you don't want to see this in church. Unless you part of the church of pimpology. I'm just saying. You don't want to see this in a school. You don't want to see this in a university. Maybe at the party at the university, maybe at the jammy jam, you want to see this. But you don't want to see this when you have your family in a dining establishment. That's not the place to see this. So there's a time and a place for this. And I'm not one to police anybody's body. You can do what you want to with your body. I'm not of the opinion that I should be telling women what to do with their bodies. You want to do that with your body, you can go ahead and do it. Especially if you're not my child. You're not my daughter. However, I will say this. I would not want to see my daughter putting her body on display like this. That's just my opinion. That's my viewpoint, because I wouldn't want my daughter to be perceived as a sexual object like that. I would want her to conduct herself and comport herself with dignity. But that's just me. That's me. I wouldn't want my children, and I have 2 daughters, I wouldn't want to see them doing this on camera, displaying their bodies for the world. But that's just me. But since we're not policing black women's bodies, we're going to put them on display, because that's what we're doing now, right? I'm just giving you a graphic so that you can see what it's like, so you can see the imagery for what it is. Now, if you have a problem with this, you really, at this current point, you really can't have a problem with this. Because if there is a problem with this, and a black man steps up and says, hey lady, this is not the place or the time, then there are going to be people who come up and say, who are you to tell these women what they can and what they can't do with their bodies? You catch my drift? So the question then is, if you can't police the bodies outside in the real world, how can you police the bodies in the digital world? So how is what I'm doing at the current moment something that's egregious morally to women? How am I debasing women when it's okay for women to debase themselves and to confer upon their bodies objectification? How so? So I'm just saying, human beings are sexual creatures. Now, I don't have a problem with women doing this. I can't have a problem with women doing this. But one could argue there are times and places where this kind of thing is appropriate and it's inappropriate. And that's all I'm saying. And what I wanted to do today is have a conversation about black men. I call them black white knights. I call them black white knights. And the reason I call them black white knights is because in their minds and in their views, for me to even tell my daughter, hey baby, don't display your body like that, don't do that, I would be policing her. Now, I got some viewpoints about this. I got some ideas about this, and I'm going to share those ideas with you. I have an example of a white knight, a black white knight, who has a problem with black men telling black women that this kind of behavior and comportment in certain places is inappropriate. Now, let's say, for example, it's Mardi Gras, and it's the day before Lent. It's that period of time when you have to pull back, all of your desires, your wants, your indulgences, and tuck and push them away. And so before that day, you have one day where you just throw it all out there in one great big excessive hedonistic lap or a big heap. Now one could argue, okay, so that's ritualistic. It makes sense in that context. Or like, say for example, Carnival in Trinidad, or Carnival in Haiti. You see women in those countries or in those nations doing these things, but you don't see it occurring every day, randomly or miscellaneously. This is what I'm saying. So we're going to talk about, and I'm putting this on display just so I can give you a graphic image of what it looks like and what it appears like when you're dining at a restaurant. I mean, at a restaurant? This is what I'm supposed to see at a restaurant. I'm sitting there, I might even have my children in the restaurant, for crying out loud. So this is what I'm supposed to see now? I got some thoughts about it, man. I do. I got some thoughts about that. And so I'm going to fade out. And when I come back, I'm going to take a quick little commercial break. And when I come back, we're going to have a conversation about this. We're going to have a conversation. So I'll be right back. We're back. I'm the G with a PhD. You're tuned in to the Green Gorilla channel. It's the place where black men can express themselves freely, straight up, no chaser. And like I told you before, the content of this channel is for mature audiences. Parental discretion is advised. That's right. Parental discretion is advised. So I'm getting back to my music, man. So I showed you those images, and for anyone seeing, for anyone who's viewing those images or who just viewed those images, don't shoot me. I'm not the one who put these images together. I'm not shaking my ass. I don't have the camera. I didn't do none of that. All I'm doing is showing you what's out there. I'm showing you what's out there. But the question is, should it all be out there? Should it all be on the line out there? And then if you as a man tell someone, look, you shouldn't be putting it all out there like that, especially where I am and in a place where I work or in a place that I own, where I'm conducting business, I don't want to see that. And I don't want my patrons to see that. And then it would be different if it was just women coming and, like resisting against what this man who owned this restaurant said. It would be different if it was just him. But then you got the black white knights who get offended. They get upset. They get in their feelings when a black woman is chastised. And the only reason they're doing this shit is to grandstand and virtue signal, and they're doing it to gain the approval of women. But not only that, there's something even more underhanded at work here. And let me stop the music real quick so you can understand what I'm saying here. There's something more underhanded going on with all of that. Okay? Let me tell you actually what's going on underneath all of that. These men know damn well that we live in a marketplace at the current moment where black male behavior is held under a microscope. And so what they are doing is they're hedging their bets. They're hedging their bets and they're deprecating their own demographic in order to ensure that their place is safe on the plantation. That is the point. That is the point. And let me just say this. I got some brother who's probably never been here before. And let me tell you something. I'm going to leave the invite so you can come on the stream. Because you're in my space, bro. I'm going to tell you that right now. You're in my space. And if you don't like what the fuck is going on in this space, get your bitch ass out of it. Do you understand what the fuck I'm telling you? If you don't like what's being said here, you can get the fuck out of here. And I mean that. On my dead mama's grave, I mean it. I mean that. You don't come in my space disrespecting. I'm not no fucking little boy. I'm a grown ass man with 2 daughters, motherfucker. You don't come in my space talking that shit. You don't like it, get the fuck out of here. Click off. And I mean that shit. I don't know who the fuck you think I am. BR. You don't come here fucking around on this channel, man. This is a channel and a space that's respectful. And if you come with respect, you'll get it. But if you come with disrespect, we don't handle boys. We don't handle men like boys. We handle men like men around this bitch. Bottom line. I don't play them games. I'm just letting you know right now. So if you don't like what you getting here, you can get the fuck on. And I mean that from the bottom of my heart. And I put that on my dead mama's grave, boy. And on my father. So anyway, man, I'm about to have this conversation before I get pissed off. We don't take disrespect around here, man. We don't do that. You don't tell me what my intentions are, what my thoughts are. Because you don't know my motivations until you have a conversation with me and you talk to me. I don't play them fucking games. If you want to be on that black, white, night shit, get the fuck out of here. Or come defend yourself. You speak on it like a man. You come with respect, you'll receive it. And this is the point that got me pissed off, man. About you fake ass motherfucking niggas out here. You don't show respect, but you demand respect. You can't get respect unless you put it out there. And that's the problem with you cats nowadays, man. You don't give out respect. And you expect respect. You can't expect respect without giving out respect. Period. And you can't expect people to respect you if you do not respect yourself. Do you understand what I'm saying? Because if you don't respect yourself, nobody else will. And that's just the God's truth. Or whatever deities or whatever moral code you operate or you act on. If you do not respect yourself, no one will respect you. Period. But don't you ever come in my motherfucking spot trying to blow up and talk that slick shit. I don't play them games, man. I ain't never played them games. And I show mad respect to everybody I come into contact with. And if I offend somebody, I apologize for my offenses. But one thing I'm not going to do is sit here and tolerate this old slick talking shit. That sugar shit. I don't play them games, man. I'm toxic, motherfucker. I'm toxic. I told you I was toxic. I don't play by them old pussy ass games. But anyway, man, you can say what you want to say as long as you come respectful. But I'm about to get into this, man. So I don't have a problem with women doing whatever they want to do with their bodies, that's on them. But every action has a reaction. And there's a time and a place for everything. There are some times when it's time to get freaky and kinky and sexy. But then there are other times and places where that kind of behavior is inappropriate. Period. There are times and places where that activity is okay. But then there are places and there are times when that behavior is inappropriate. And we're going to talk about it, man. So I'm about to switch it over the scene, man, and get to this. So I recently came across this article. And in this article, they got this, I don't know if I even want to call him a brother. You know, I don't even know if I can. You got this guy who basically, I mean, he just goes off on the brother who owns the restaurant. And he starts talking about respectability politics. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm not an advocate of respectability politics myself. I'm not. But there's a difference between respectability politics and respectability, period. The politics of respectability has to do with ingratiating white people, being toady, genuflecting in front of white people in order to fit in. Like if you notice yourself starting to articulate words like white people, even though you don't do so normally, if you find yourself laughing to things that you normally wouldn't laugh to or laugh at, if you find yourself behaving and dressing in ways that you normally would not in order to appease white people, that is the politics of respectability. If you think that racism is going to be eliminated because you've got on a three-piece suit, that's the politics of respectability. If you think that being college educated is going to get you out of this trap, that's the politics of respectability. But there's a difference between that kind of politics and basic respect for yourself. I call it self-love. Respect for yourself. Now, in this culture, we've gotten to a place where you can't tell women anything. And it all stems from this notion. It's a Victorian notion of womanhood, where women are construed as being morally superior to their male counterparts because of some of the heinous things that men in Europe got involved in. Nowhere else in the entirety of the world is there a conceptualization that there's some sort of blamelessness associated with having a uterus and a vagina. That never happens anywhere else until you start to get this Victorian notion of womanhood, born out of the Western world, born out of bourgeois culture and society, which is where it comes from. But prior to that, men in the Western world were burning women at the stake, and men. Now, these are the facts. Go check your historical record. See, the one thing I don't like about us as a culture, we don't read shit. We don't study anything. But we got a lot of opinions about things, but we don't study anything. And then we like to pontificate about our points, and then we like to find others who think exactly as we do, and then we become entrenched in canalized thought. The reality of the situation is men are fallible and are subject to viciousness. Women are fallible and subjected and can be caught and ensnared by viciousness. Nobody is left untouched. Now, I don't believe in original sin, but I do believe that anyone can potentially sin against another, male or female, black or white, red or brown. But let me get to this, man. Respectability politics doesn't respect black women. This article, man, is written by Kenny Williams. Now, this guy, Mr. Williams, basically says that earlier this week, a restaurant owner went viral for an incredibly toxic tirade that reflected an antiquated mindset steeped in respectability. So you know what? To me, this is his thesis statement. That what he's saying is antiquated. That his desire, well, let me just put it this way. His emotional response to something occurring in his business is antiquated and toxic. Now, I've had conversations before on this show about toxic masculinity and where the term actually comes from. Actually, it was developed by men in order to discuss the ways in which masculinity was being colonized in the Western world and that masculinity was being compromised. And so a group of white men developed a group and a public, and they began to isolate themselves to get away from what they thought was effeminizing them. That's where toxic masculinity comes from. But nowadays, you got all of these social justice warriors everywhere commenting, having something to say about toxic masculinity. The word is everywhere. Toxic, toxic, toxic. I'm owning toxicity now because it seems like to me, up is down, down is up, black is white, red is blue. This is the kind of world we live in. And I considered myself to be progressive. But that there's some things occurring in this culture right now. And we got to push back against it. Period. We have to push back against these notions. Because most of these people who write these pieces are young. They don't know anything other than what they've been taught and what they've been proselytized to or about during their collegiate experience. And the college, unfortunately, or the university is predominantly occupied by women who espouse and who have adopted themselves these talking points, these viewpoints, and these ideologies. So he said this week, a full-blown case of misogynoir and respectability politics left social media in shambles. Now, I didn't want to even talk about this. I really didn't even want to cover this. I'm going to tell you why. I'm just going to be absolutely honest. Because I don't like to talk about people. If you notice, I do cover people, but I talk about their ideas. I'm always reading something, and they say black men can't read, right? So I figure if black men are not reading this material, let me read it to them. Let me give it to them so that they can be exposed to it and they can make an assessment and analysis and an analysis on their own recognizance. Let me share with these men some ideas. Because as you know, they say an average mind talks about people. Even better minds talk about events. But the best minds of all, they center around ideas. So that's why I don't like to spend a lot of time talking about people specifically. I don't like to do that. I like to talk about ideas. And I'm trying to share with you ideas that I have. Now, I am artistic. I am an artist. I've always been an artist. So whatever I put my effort and my energy into, I'm going to do so artistically. Teaching is an art to me. Writing is an art to me. Music, of course, is an art. But even holding a YouTube show is artful to me. It's aesthetic to me. So if you see me taking liberties to do some things and to emphasize points by utilizing all of your senses, that's what I'm doing. But I don't need Johnny come latelys coming into my space saying anything derogatory, because I'll run you off. So back to the toxicity, apparently, because everything black men do is toxic. We show videos, we're toxic. Black women doing the videos, not toxic. You see how fucked up that is? Do you see how ignorant this shit is? You see how at every twist and at every turn, there's an impasse for black men. And the sickest part about it is that you got black men doing this shit. This sucker ass shit. Black women shake their ass, no problem. Black man watches a woman or displays the black woman shaking her ass, it's a fucking problem. Now explain to me how much sense that makes. Explain it. You put yourself out there with a purple shirt, with a green fucking pair of pants, with a bright orange hat, and then you say, I don't want nobody to look at me. You a damn liar. You want motherfuckers to look at you. That's why you got that crazy ass shit on. So all this shit is some look at me. Look at me. Because there's something missing on the inside. Now, if it was a ritual and it was all about fertility or something like that, then I can understand it. But just miscellaneously coming out and pussy popping? Come on, man. Not even on the dance floor with a partner, nothing. I got the urge to twerk in my seat. I don't understand it. I just don't get it. So anyway, respectability politics, for those who are unfamiliar, are a set of beliefs that assume appearance and behavior in alignment with societal expectations will safeguard marginalized groups from discrimination. These unspoken rules suggest that conformity to the often white standard way of living can be wielded as protection against any persecution by way of racism. Now let me say this. Societal expectations are everywhere. They're all around us. There's no way to avoid them. Because morality is not something that's just individualistic. Morality is social. Just like there is no breathing without air, there also is no breathing without lungs. The two interact to create the phenomena of breathing. So there is no individual morality outside of the context out of which people praise and blame behavior. There's no getting around this shit. There's no such thing as individuals creating their own standard or code of morality. It's impossible to do. But in this culture, we think we've been able to do it. We've somehow come up with some magical premise, some reason for which we can justify our behavior just because it's us. Oh, I can do what I want. There's no way to escape praise and blame. No one can do it. Mothers don't do it to their children. Fathers don't do it to their children. Women don't do it to men. But to expect the same from men, Well, to not expect the same from men is ridiculous. It's absurd. So the very idea of morality itself, now we're going to talk about societal expectations in the context of white supremacy and reduce societal expectations to white supremacy. That's bullshit. There's always societal expectations wherever you go. You can't escape that. Anyway, but there is the truth that acting, comporting, and behaving how white people act, and how they want you to act, that's not going to prevent you from being subjected to racism. It's not. These beliefs rooted in white supremacy have proven time and time again to be ineffective regardless of income, class status, or celebrity. Oftentimes, black celebrities, mainly your crusty faves who lack bars and brain cells. Come on, man, that's not even artistic to me. Crusty faves who lack bars. You talking about like bars like being able to spit lyrics? This motherfucker sound like he's from the suburbs somewhere. Who lack bars and brain cells make duplicitous attempts to be poster children for this mentality and still come up short when their blackness overshadows their wealth. Twitter erupted into full-fledged chaos when a video hit the internet showing a Dallas restaurant owner berating a group of black women for twerking. Kevin Kelly, the owner of True Kitchen Cocktails, came under fire for boldly and disrespectfully proclaiming that he didn't need the woman's money or the women's money, and that they should travel elsewhere because he created this establishment so that we can feel good about ourselves as a culture. So, first of all, from what I've understood, there have been many accounts about what took place in True Kitchen. Now, this place is primarily frequented by women who consider themselves to be classy because the restaurant is supposed to be a higher echelon restaurant where there are reservations that you have to have, and it's backed up for months. You can't even get in. So it's supposed to be a prestigious establishment. But you know, some fools love to perform. Some people have to be the center of attention. They have to show up and show out. And so these women showed up and they showed out. And he showed them the door. Now, from what I understand, he went to these women on more than one occasion and asked them to settle down. They decided they didn't want to settle down. So guess what? While they were standing on the furniture, probably dangerous, and he would be liable for any accidents had he endorsed the behavior or allowed the behavior. So he tells them to settle down, and if they don't like it, they can burn out. His prerogative, man. His choice. And there's a place for everything. If you ain't going to twerk in your mama's house, don't twerk where you're going to eat at. It's places, man. You can go to the club and twerk. You can go to the strip club and twerk. You can twerk at Mardi Gras. You can twerk at the carnival. You can twerk in a whole bunch of places. But you ain't going to take that to the white man place, though, and you ain't going to start twerking there. You ain't going to twerk at the school, in your classroom. You ain't going to start twerking and shaking your ass in there. All this twerking and shit, take it to Prime. Take it to Pink. Don't bring it here because we're a restaurant, Kelly said. If you want to do it, get the fuck out of my restaurant. Goddamn right, man. Damn right. Don't do it again. If you don't like it, get out because I don't need your money. And that's a principle. Some people will sell their soul for a little piece of gold. Some people will do anything for money. What I showed you in that video was women shaking their asses for cash. Bottom line, they're shaking every woman I showed you in that video They shake their asses professionally. Even these women, if they are going to twerk and they do something like that in public, they're going to sneak and do it. They're not going to be all out in the Walmart, in Target and shit, twerking. But these same niggas, these same black men talking all this shit about you can't police black women's bodies. That's the politics of respectability. You shouldn't be doing that. These same niggas wouldn't want you to come to their house and roll up a blunt and smoke that motherfucker right there without asking. I guarantee you they wouldn't. Not only that, I guarantee you them same people wouldn't like for you to come and start standing on their fucking couch with your shoes on. I guarantee you they wouldn't like it. But now we got to have this conversation, this black, white, night fucking conversation that as far as I'm concerned, it's all rooted in patriarchy. Because you got a group of black men who feel like they're sworn to show fealty to prevent women from suffering from any kind of chastisement or any kind of harm whatsoever. This is patriarchy. When you see men stepping up and doing this shit, they're being patriarchal. But don't come to me with the patriarchy shit. Don't try to hide your own patriarchy and you're trying to cuddle up with these women because you think it's going to backdoor you to some sort of modicum of success in the marketplace. Don't come here with that bullshit. Because I'm not for that, man. I tell it how it is. Or at least how I see it. And if you got a problem with it, present it to me respectfully. And we can have arguments all day. But you're not going to come on my set and start being derogatory. Because if I saw a motherfucker do it in my face, we'll have a big fat problem, man. Straight up. I don't fuck with nobody. But if you want to get off into that fuckboy shit, then we can handle it, man. But you got to give respect to receive it. And right now, there's not a lot of respect going on out here. And you got these motherfuckers on the internet hiding behind walls and avatars and shit. Anyway, man, to add insult to injury, Kelly's tirade also suggested that it would be hypocritical of him to encourage his male patrons to respect the women dining there when they were disrespecting themselves by twerking. Now, I don't know how true this is, but what I do know is this. Men go to restaurants and do the same ignorant shit at times. They get loud, they start drinking at the bar, and they start bothering people and patrons around the dining area. And then guess what ends up happening? The police come in and they tell them to settle down. And if you refuse to settle down, you will find yourself taking a trip downtown to a jail cell. Because the space is not just occupied by you for your pleasure. It's a public space. And what you're doing in that public space, it has an impact beyond yourself. But we don't want to have a conversation about that. We don't want to talk about that. We just want to talk about policing bodies. And we want to talk about toxicity. The shit doesn't even make sense anymore, man. I want men to show respect for how they carry themselves. How can I tell the men to respect you and you guys are twerking on the glass here? And to some extent, he's right. See, what we have to do now is suspend logic and shit that makes sense in order to appease the fragile egos of women who become entitled. They feel entitled to walk around without ever being subjected to praise or blame. That's not the real world, man. And all I see is a bunch of motherfuckers blaming men for every damn thing. At some point, there's going to be a natural pushback. There's going to be a reaction to this. And you're seeing the reaction. In fact, this space is just such a reaction because women, they can be great, but also women can be assholes, just like men can. And men can debase themselves and do things that are less than respectful related to their own agency and their own imagery and their own self-respect, man. I don't know if I repeated it or not, but men can do that as well. And so can women. And so can women. Before unpacking the incredible toxicity of the tirade, there goes that word again. All this shit is imaging and branding and repetition. It's worth noting that Kelly had every right to be angry in the matter, that the behavior he was seeing didn't align with his vision of how his business should operate. You're damn right. You're right. But then you're going to say, oh, well, he shouldn't have said it that way. He should have been more kinder and gentler. Back to this Victorian fainting couch feminist shit again. That's not what even feminism is about. It's not even about that shit. This is some newfangled shit. And unfortunately, you got black women at the forefront of this fainting couch Victorian womanhood feminism. And it's sickening, man. Then you got black men who are reiterating the talking points of white women, man. This is what this shit has come to. This is what black culture has come to. Black men imitating black women who are imitating the talking points of white women who did all of this shit in order to subvert the ascendancy of black men. Now, how fucking ironic is this shit? His emotions were validated, but using this situation as a launch pad to desecrate black women isn't okay. Now, how's he desecrating black women? How's that a desecration? He has a right to feel that way, but he can't speak about it though, huh? So he had every right to have a feeling about it, but he had no right to say how he felt about it. Because I guess then he was mansplaining, right? And this has nothing to do with belittling women per se. The man's business is basically catered to women. And I know all women don't agree with this shit either. But the reduction of every criticism of women to toxicity, to patriarchy, to male dominance is fucking ridiculous. Otherwise, there is no moral sphere for women. They can do whatever the fuck they want to do. There are no repercussions. There's no accountability for nothing. If that's the case. So they exist above the moral plane. My viewpoint is, if this is the shit that we got to deal with socially, and if women are that goddamn morally superior, whoever they may be, they may as well fucking just ascend to heaven right now. There's no use to be here amongst us mere mortals. Now, you might not like hearing that, but I'm giving it to you straight, no chaser. And again, the funny shit is, a woman can desecrate her own fucking self and objectify her own self. But if a man does it, it's a problem. Or if I even enjoy seeing it, it's a fucking problem. What type of sick ass dudes y'all are out here, man? What kind of fucking phony ass shit you cats on out here, man? Do you either want to have the male gaze or not have it? Because this shit is all about the male gaze. It screams out, look at me shake my ass. I'm reduced to a shaking ass. The most substantive thing about me is a shaking ass. I'm turning my face away, everything away from the camera so you can look at my ass. Don't you want my ass? Don't you like the way my ass look? Look at my ass. But if a man says something about it, it's a fucking problem. Or if he even looks at it and enjoys it, it's a problem. In an attempt to belittle black women through this dusty declaration, and he sounds like Cynthia G or some shit. He made it abundantly clear that he enjoys policing black women's joy and bodies. Their joy? This motherfucker here gay, man. I guarantee you. He's part of the LGBTQ movement. I can guarantee you. Just the way he's speaking. Despite utilizing both to make a profit. So now he's using them. He's using them by providing a service that they have a demand for, that they want to come to. And because he says something to a particular set of women, he's disrespecting all women. But he's policing the police. So I guess he the FBI. Never mind the fact that this little hub of misogyny, I knew it was coming, the misogyny. So he hates women. He hates women because women are shaking their ass, acting a damn fool in his fucking restaurant, and he's trying to get them to calm down and not objectify themselves sexually in his place of business. So he hates them. So I hate my daughter for me wanting more for her than to be objectified and to have a whole bunch of fucking shady ass niggas' eyes trained on her ass. So I hate women because of that. Man, that's some absurd shit. It's absurd, man. Despite utilizing both to make a profit. Never mind the fact that this little hub of misogyny is advertised as a nightclub, a place where twerking is cultural capital. It's advertised as a nightclub, huh? Mm-hmm. Capitalizing off of black women who come to an establishment to unwind and have a good time. But crucifying them for doing as such is a crash course in employing respectability politics. So in other words, because he don't want his shit to become like Stroker's Magic City in Atlanta, there's something wrong with him. He hates women. If I have a place where I want black men to come and then the motherfuckers start rolling up blunts and rolling dice, I'm going to tell the motherfuckers to get out too. And it ain't going to be because I hate black men. It's because I don't think we should be doing this shit inside my restaurant. Or you should be doing this inside of my restaurant. But the reductiveness, I'm just tired of hearing black men do this. When we think of white supremacy, the idea should be socially accepted, of what should be socially accepted, doesn't typically come to mind. The colonization of our bodies, minds, and behavioral customs treads so deep within us that we oftentimes don't realize it. Encouraging ideologies that prohibit the expression of black joy. So it's black joy to shake that ass. This is what this boils down to now. Even black gay men, they have like what they call balls. And they don't vogue everywhere they go. Can you imagine black gay men everywhere they go, they just voguing and shit? It's a time and a place for everything. Under the guise of respectability or professionalism is directly linked to the way that race and class intersect as subtle but prominent cogs in the machine of white supremacy. So now, if black people have standards and they don't want other black people to objectify themselves or to set themselves out there sexually in every arena, then that's black people being subjected to white supremacy and not knowing that cultural imperialism has somehow unconsciously impacted or affected them. So this is like Bill Cosby's pound cake. This is like naming your kid Deshaun or Raekwon, which I think is stupid because the shit has no meaning. I'm just being honest. These names don't even mean shit. They just sound a certain way to us. So what do we still? We in the oral stages? We not even making names with purpose now? This is the shit we own now. So yeah, I got a problem with it. The journey to dismantling white supremacy. First of all, this shit right here ain't dismantling no white supremacy. I've seen people talk about twerking in front of police, twerking in various areas like that's a form of resistance. If you think that's a form of resistance, black people are fucked up. We'll never be able to get rid of or throw off the yoke of white supremacy. Ever. Never. It'll never occur. Because white supremacy will not ever stop as long as they have physical power and the power of fucking, weaponry. That's how you topple white supremacy. But now we think we can do it intellectually or spiritually or some shit. Like magical Negroes operating in the world justly can just all of a sudden change the material conditions of the world in which we live. It makes no sense. But this is the kind of paradigm that we have to listen to and that we have to absorb or supposed to absorb. So kind of having some sort of conceptualization of chastity, that's a white thing? That's white supremacy in and of itself? This shit is crazy to me, man. When we take part in policing black joy like Kelly, we fall right into the snares of the very prejudices that we're attempting to demolish. So, in other words, what we ought to do is create spaces for joy for black women to where they can twerk wherever the fuck they want to. Or black boys where they can roll blunts and smoke blunts and roll dice wherever the fuck they want to. As if it's pure joy. Unfortunately, there are still individuals in our community who believe that abiding by white... See, he keeps reducing chastity. He keeps reducing modesty. He is reducing sexual norms related to modesty and chastity to white supremacy. And that's complete fucking bullshit. That's bullshit. He has not read history. And what history he has read, he hasn't read it in any depth, any substantive way at all. Because they're gods and goddesses devoted to the conceptualization of chastity or the embodiment, the being of chastity. What about Athena and Diana? What about Auset and Isis? These were goddesses who were chaste. The expectation that black women should suppress their fun to accommodate someone's inability to part ways with internalized whiteness is ludicrous. So all this shit has to do with whiteness now. If the Karens and Beckys of the world had spent more time attempting to steal rhythm as opposed to land, identities, and other cultural capital, they'd be able to twerk and it wouldn't be frowned on. So, as long as because white women weren't aligning their interests with that of white men, if they were shaking their asses, they would have been having more fun too. Come on, man. You act like there is no version of white women with this shit. You ever seen them videos, man, a long time ago? They used to be on TV all the time. Girls Gone Wild. You remember seeing that shit on TV? We're selling the videos. You can get volume 1. You can get volume 2. You can get volume 3. Girls Gone Wild. You ever see that? You act like white women don't do this shit. Like this is a unique phenomenon to black women. Being sexually promiscuous. And shaking their bodies like they're in heat. So now all morality, all value that's not part of what their value system is gets reduced to whiteness, and it gets reduced to imperialism. And this is a fancy way of sneaking in their own moral system and their own axiology and not having anything from outside of their own viewpoint to have any paramount consideration. That's it. That's all this is. This is reductionism. And again, white women been doing this shit for years. But then they grow up. They do this shit in college and they fucking done with it. They are fucking done with it after they graduate from college. They get fucking married, they have children, and they build wealth with their fucking patriarchs, is what they do most often. And there's a war right now culturally between the left and the right. That's a fact. It is a fact. Aside from the blatant disregard for black women's feelings, this is what this is all about. This is all about regarding black women's feelings. This is all about protecting black women's feelings. This shit is about him protecting or stepping up to protect black women's feelings. This is infantilization. This shit is patriarchy. This is what it looks like to me. So you mean you can't tell a woman shit? I done read the book on this, man. I done read all this feminist philosophy, bro. And even in the Combahee River Collective, there's a statement, what we believe. Part number 2. We don't want to walk 10 steps behind. We don't want to be put on a pedestal. All we require is to be treated equally. All we require is to be treated as an equal. But as soon as because I know for a damn fact, if I saw a man doing some shit that I didn't approve of, I would tell him, hey, bruh, because I've had some motherfuckers come to my house and put their feet on my coffee table. And I told them, hey, look here, come here, step outside with me. Let me holler at you right quick. Look, I know you're comfortable and shit. This is a nice little spot, whatever, got the big screen popping, whatever. But don't put your feet on my furniture, man. I don't appreciate that. This ain't like, if I got an ottoman or some shit, you can put your shoes on it. But I don't want your fucking shoes on my goddamn glass or my wood I just polished up. That's not a fucking place where you put your feet. It's shit for that. It's not where you put your feet, though, bruh. It's where you put objects that are supposed to be stable. It's not your feet. Somebody come and start doing shit to your house and getting too comfortable, you're going to let them know. You too comfortable in my house, bruh. Man, woman, or child. Now, you'll give a little bit of leeway to a child because they're children and they don't know better. But an adult should know better. People know when they're infringing upon your space and when they're not observing the rules of etiquette. They know that shit. And if I came to that man's house and started putting my fucking hands, putting my feet all on his table, stepping all on his couches and shit, standing up all over everything, going to his bed and shit, he'd have a fucking problem. Or just open his refrigerator, he'd have a goddamn problem. Aside from the blatant disregard for black women's feelings, one has to reflect on how white women are allowed to parlay amongst each other in restaurants with little to no repercussions for their continued racist antics. White women are allowed to parlay. I don't even know what this means. What is he talking about? White women are allowed to parlay. Man, even drunk ass white women to get their ass kicked out the spot. I done seen it on several occasions myself. I used to work as a fucking waiter, man. Yeah, I waited tables, man. And I seen some white women get drunk as a motherfucker and kindly, ma'am, you got to get the fuck out of here, okay? It's time for you to leave. We're going to call the police. And they will get escorted out the joint, man. But all this is the preservation of the gynocracy to me. This is what this is. It is a black man doing something that these newfangled motherfuckers feel is out of order. That's what this is. And this is the last paragraph, man. These unseasoned and uncouth gangsters are allowed to act as unhinged. Now he's attacking white women. See this, I know he's gay. These unseasoned and uncouth gangsters are allowed to act as unhinged as they like. No, they not. But the hue of their skin shields them from any real consequences. These monsters have been allowed to run amok in restaurants and other public places, spewing hateful rhetoric until a few tears and half-ass apologies suddenly reprieves them. Hold on, so you talking about white women saying some shit about black people? You're talking about a false equivalency here, bruh. That man said that shit in love to them young ladies, man. I guarantee you that shit. But see, we don't even know what fathers are anymore, man. We don't even know what it is to have strong men around anymore. Because you got fucking pussy boys like this who will come out and they'll say something in this film language speak. And I'm calling it for what it is. This is some pussy boy shit. I have to question whether Kelly's response to this display of black joy would be as harsh if he were addressing a group of white women. Man, if I saw some white women in my fucking restaurant on my chairs, man, I don't give a fuck what color they are. You got to get your white ass down. Period. Because I'll go off on a white motherfucker too. I have been known to slap one or two white boys in their motherfucking face. That's word to my dead mother. I'll go off on a white boy in a minute. And I'll go off on a Becky. Let me share a story with you, man. If a group of white women decided to parade around this place of business imitating the mannerisms of a wounded penguin, would he be as upset? Or would he laugh it off and encourage the tomfoolery? Because once again, white mediocrity is lauded and preferred over black joy time and time again. It's quite unfortunate that Kelly felt so emboldened in his attempt to humiliate his black women patrons. These women decided to patronize his establishment and support a black business, and he made it clear that he refuses to respect black. Man, fuck this dude, man. I'm not reading this shit no more, man. So look, I went to all white high school, man. And one of the white boys called one of my friends a nigger. And he was one of the biggest white boys. I mean, this white boy, man, he was like a sophomore or junior. He's benching about 350, 375. like a little, like a stocky little white boy, played for the football team. But he walking around the school calling black people niggas. And it ain't but so many of us. Man, we beat the brakes off that boy, man. He had to go to the hospital, man. It's shit you allow and you don't allow. We beat the brakes off that boy, man. True story. God, we probably shouldn't have done it, but he shouldn't have called us niggas. Because if you would let one white boy call you a nigga in the school, then all the other white boys, they're going to start thinking they could call you a nigga too. Right or wrong. Then I had a brother, at one point in time, my brother's into white girls. That's what he likes. He likes that. Now, I'm going to tell you something. I'm from St. Louis, Missouri, man. So we went to East St. Louis. If you know anything about St. Louis, we went to a club in East St. Louis, man. I swear to God, I can't remember what the name of the club is, but we were on that it's the late after hour spot on the road to lead to the casino. I can't remember the name of that motherfucker. I can't, I'm getting older, so the name of the club eludes me. But this motherfucking dude, man, it was after a Jeezy concert too, so it was a lot of people out. And apparently these white girls love Jeezy, so they went to the Jeezy concert, and then they wanted to get some after hour shit in, so they came over to the east side. Now these chicks by themselves on the east side. Now I got all my brothers from Chicago. They not even from anywhere near where I'm at. They don't know shit about what's going on. So we all kicking it. We all chilling. I already had a gal, man. You know what I'm saying? I'm about to go home and go home to a gal. You know what I'm saying? So this motherfucker, man, gets two white girls. Now we got like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people, 6 people in my car. Because he added 2 white girls to the mix. So they get in the back seat, they like, can you drop us off? And then, my little brother like trying to get up on something, which I don't mind, like if that's what you want. But then them little white girls start getting real persnickety in my car, man. They start talking a whole bunch of sick shit. Or whatever they was doing, I don't know. Whatever they was saying, I didn't like it. So I screamed. I told my little brother, man, get the fuck out. Get them the fuck out of my car, man. They got to go right now. Well, it's a dangerous. I don't give a fuck how dangerous it is. They got to get the fuck out of my car. Period. I don't know what. They were saying some slick shit. Some semi-racist shit. Scared. You got to get the fuck out of my car. Well, yeah, bye. Holla at you. My little brother trying to call. I'm like, man, if you want to get with them, I'll let your ass out too. How about that? If you want to go protect them motherfuckers. So this whole idea that like black men like worship white women or worship white people, it's some bullshit. That shit goes both ways. You got some black women who do that shit. You got some black men who do that. But don't reduce this shit to black men, man. Because black men want standards for themselves and what they own and what they represent and what their children own and represent. Come on, man. No. No, sir, man. And I don't know where you're going, but you know, like my man, you got to burn out, man. So it is what it is, man. Like, so I already left the link in the stream, man. I thought I did earlier, but I got hot at that one dude, man, who came in here with that bullshit, man. You come in my shit. Man, look, I'm harsher than Kevin Samuels, man. I'm gonna tell you, I'm gonna go off on your ass. I'm not gonna laugh at you. I'm gonna tell you the truth, man. Bottom line. So I'm gonna take a quick break, man. I'm gonna come back and close out the show, man. If anybody wants to come in, I'm giving you the invite now. So more than likely, ain't no telling what's gonna happen. But if you want to come in, come in. I'm gonna take a quick break though. I've been talking for about 50 minutes, it seems. So let me take a little break. I'll be right back. Rivers, what's going on, bro? How you doing?
Hi, what's up?
What's going on?
I just want to say I've been listening to you for the past 3 weeks, and just yeah, Can you hear me?
I can hear you, brother. Can you hear me?
Hold on, it's an echo. There's an echo.
No, you got to turn YouTube off, man. If you got YouTube on, turn it off and use StreamYard.
You got me?
I hear you, but I hear the echo.
No, you gotta turn YouTube off.
Oh,
You got YouTube on. Turn it off and use StreamYard.
Uh-oh, he done turn StreamYard off. I told him to turn YouTube off. He turned StreamYard off. But I'm pretty sure he'll come back. I invite you to come back in. Please come back in. So look, some of the things that I say may rattle some people. And I get that because some of the shit that I say is a little edgy. And sometimes I get a little agitated because I understand the implications of this stuff. This is why I'm so fiery about it. And this is why I'm so intolerant for bullshit. This is why, man. And one thing I do know, it doesn't matter if it's a man or a woman. People try other people to see if they can push the boundaries, to see what you will or will not tolerate. This is a part of human experience, man. It goes for men and for women. So if you tolerate bullshit, you'll keep tolerating bullshit. It's like dying of 1,000 cuts instead of dying at one time. I'd rather die at one time than to die at 1,000 cuts, man. That's just me. I'm still waiting for that brother to come on back in, man. I don't know if he is going to be able to find his way back in or not, but I'm going to give him a few more minutes. But if anybody else wants to come on in, they can. But again, I did what I did for a reason. I showed you those images for a reason. Because people don't understand the magnitude of this shit. And this is what's funny to me. We talking about women and policing women's bodies, right? Let's just be honest about this shit. And I'm going to talk about this tomorrow when we talk about Kevin Samuels. And usually I don't like to talk about other people on my show. And I'm not having anything critical to say about him, but the whole conversation surrounding him, to me, is dumb as fuck. Why? Because we act as if, he wants to invite again. I'm gonna leave him there. Turn your YouTube off when you come back in. Not the StreamYard, but the YouTube. So anyway, I lost my train of thought, but at the current moment, people act like we're supposed to suspend common sense because of some stuff some uppity persnickety Negroes been reading in college. We're supposed to suspend all tradition and go with their understanding of what justice is, because they know better. They don't want to have a dialogue. They don't want to have a conversation. We just supposed to believe whatever they say because they've come up with the right way to deal with morality across the board. Who the fuck are y'all, man? Who are y'all? Mr. Rico Rivers, welcome to the stream. How are you?
Thank you so much for your patience, man. I appreciate it.
No, it's all to the good, man. I'm patient with people who are patient with me and,
yes.
and people who are respectful.
Yes.
Now, you can disagree with me, Rico.
Yes.
I'm good with that.
Yes.
But as long as you're disagreeable in a reciprocitous way. Like, I know I'm being fiery in my commentary, but I'm not going off on individual people. You get what I'm saying? So,
well, I hear you and me, because if you and I knew each other, we'd be basically talking to each other when all that you just said. I'm one of those opinionated brothers as well. But I just wanted to call to say that I've been listening to you for the past, I've heard about you a while, but legitimately listening to you for the past 3 weeks, sometimes in the evening, sometimes catching it to 3 o'clock in the morning. Because when I hear you, I said, what I'm impressed with is the cussing doesn't bother me at all. But I like the delivery, and I like the fact that you are a scholar. And in your delivery, you can reach everybody. And just a little bit, I've been fortunate enough to go to conferences, academic conferences, to leadership conferences, and I've been in there with people like Dr. Ben Ashwakwezi, the scholars.
Yes,
Dr.
sir. Yes, sir.
Joy Leary and Dr. Francis got their books. And so when I hear you, it takes me back to when our scholars were presented around and invited to speak at colleges and speak at other events. And for the past, I guess, 10 years, I had missed that, to hear that voice until I came across your channel. Of course, brother Dr. T. Hassan and Dr. Tommy Curry, y'all are the new Amos Wilsons, the new Dr. Benz, the Dr. John Henry Clarks. Y'all are the new Dr. Joanna Kunjufu, Dr. Naeem Akbars. Y'all are the ones. Y'all are our new ones. And I wish we, this time around, would get brothers and sisters like you, but particularly black men, because of your subject matter, to lift you up and get you on TV shows and invite you to conferences so we can rebuild and bring back that scholarly exchange among our people. That's what I missed. And so when I hear you, I said, that's it right there, with that fire, not turning back, not double talking, not stuttering. And I just get a kick out of it because I came up under the scholars. And when I hear you, that's okay, there he is. There he is. And so I just wanted to express that. I appreciate you, man.
Man, I'm flattered, but I always tell people, Miss Rico, if I can call you that, right?
Yes, sir. Yeah.
I don't like to put on airs related to my degrees or anything like that.
Yes.
You know, I'm a black man. I live in America. I know that these people really don't respect me. I know that at any given moment, my life could take a bad turn,
Mm-hmm.
right? And it has in certain occasions. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Um, I just I feel like the academy right now is the embodiment of whiteness. Like what that guy
Yeah.
was doing to me is to me the embodiment of whiteness. It's like, oh, I'm more moral than you. You're wrong, and I'm gonna just not trying to engage in a conversation because these people are not conversing with us.
Mm-hmm.
Do you understand what I'm saying? They're not in
Yeah.
dialogue with us.
Exactly.
They're proselytizing to us.
Mm-hmm.
You know, this is not an exchange. This is, you know, a diatribe, an invective that's being delivered to us.
Exactly.
I don't move like that, man. Like if you want to have a
Yeah.
conversation, we can converse. Okay, we
Yeah.
can do that. But berating, chiding, you know, getting into, these, grandstanding and virtue
Mm-hmm.
signaling circumstances and events, man. I don't like that, man.
Yeah.
And I do like to keep it simplistic because all of that jargon, that's whiteness.
Yes.
That's all that is, man. You can
Yeah.
talk in plain English and articulate and express. Every now and then I do use big words, but I try to cut it down. And I am profane, brother. But
Yeah.
thank you
I
so
hear.
much, man.
I hear you. I mean, I hear all of that. That's why I know what I'm hearing. And just really quickly, what you just said was it's like days of old. If you go back and look at when Dr. Francis Cress Welsing had that debate with that white guy about racism, when Dr. John Henry Clark had plenty of debates at these conferences with these Jewish scholars and ripping them to bits, they don't do that anymore. And I don't think we demand that anymore. And most importantly, what you said, they can run to social media, do blogs, and talk to you through there, but they don't want that smoke up front in person. And when I hear you talking, I say, God damn, right there, get that brother on stage, and some of these that guy that wrote that article, I read it, foolishness, and get some of these feminist people like Dr. Brittany Cooper, get all of them on stage, and I said he will mop the floor with them. Because not only he is a scholar, and when you're called doctor, wherever you go, brother, maybe you're speaking of the academy, but the rest of us, when we hear doctor, one who's pursued a PhD in his past, I understand the rigor that goes within trying to earn a PhD. So, and anybody else here is doctor, you are respected. Now, the academy, is an uppity, stuck up, stick in the mud ass group of folks. And
Yeah,
some
man.
people buy into that once they get their little paper. All of a sudden, their noses turn upward and all of this stuff. And sometimes they turn on the black community. The black folks, they turn on the black community as if the black community is something to them, but they sat for 4 years being called a nigger and slighted, all this so they can get through the comps and get through their papers and get through that whole, what's that final thing y'all have to do, your dissertation,
Yeah,
that
yeah, and
presentation.
the doctoral defense too. Yeah.
Yeah, the defense. So they take a whole lot of crap in these white institutions, then they come out and shit on, pardon my language, the black community. So I appreciate you. I just want to share that, man, and I will continue to listen. I just appreciate you being here, and then hopefully in 2021 and beyond, we get people like you and Brother Hassan, the Hood Scholar, and Dr. Ron, all of y'all, put your own display where others can hear you. So I just want to share that, man.
Hey, thank you so much, man. I'm I'm flabbergasted by your kind words, brother. Thank you, man. I thank you, sir. I appreciate that, man. Thank
Enjoy
you.
your evening.
You too. So let me shift back over to my main groove. Um, I'm back, man. Let me just say this, man. Sometimes I rant and rave, and tonight was a rant. And I just like for us to interact with one another along the lines of integrity. And if I do something for shock value, that's what I'm doing. It ain't like you motherfuckers ain't never seen no asses shaking before. Let's be honest. It ain't like the shit ain't on YouTube. I pulled the video straight from YouTube. This shit is on YouTube, man. Now I don't know about you, bruh. I'm just going to be honest with you, man. If one day I wake up and roll out of my bed, man, I turn on YouTube, I see an image of a fat ass, and I say, let me click that. Let me look at that. Damn, that motherfucker fat. And I see my daughter on the next still. Man, shit, man. Come on, man. I got to put on my gangster music now, man. If I woke up and saw my daughter, man, shaking her ass like that, man, I would be embarrassed, man. I would feel like I didn't do my job as a father, man. Let me share something with you before I get out of here, man. Just so you know this, man. And I'm not saying that I agree with this man wholeheartedly. He's a philosopher, a white philosopher. I believe he was a racist philosopher. But he came up with a concept called the Categorical Imperative. And the Categorical Imperative basically says, never act by that maxim that you cannot at the same time will to be a universal law governing all in a kingdom of ends. Meaning, if you're going to do something, make sure that that thing that you're doing can be universalized such that everyone else always does it. And imagine what the world would look like if everyone always did what you just did. And can you find yourself comfortable with living in that world? If you can't do it, then you can't justify it. But then beyond that, he goes on to say that you should never treat another person as a means to an end, but only as an end in and of themselves. And the other part to it, I'm not articulating it exactly how he did, but the other piece to it is, just as you are not supposed to use others as means to ends, neither are you supposed to use yourself as a means to an end. To present yourself as a thing, as an object, to be used by someone else. Because we are all special and we're endowed with innate dignity. So that's why I wouldn't want to see my daughter shaking her ass, doing something strange for a little piece of fucking change. I'm out this bitch, man.